What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to take a look at the new developer blog and go over all the new stuff that they have to say, because this is pretty crazy. It's pretty important too. Like, this is all of the stuff about how they're going to be balancing future seasons and different characters and what we're going to be looking at for the start of Overwatch 2. So let's dive in and see what they have to say. Also, we're going to be doing this live. This is a different type of video than what I usually do, but I figure there's a lot of content in here, so let's just go through it and see what they have to say. Okay, October 4th is on the horizon, and the team has been hard at work preparing for the launch of Overwatch 2. For today's update, let's take some time to talk about hero balance for launch day and break down our philosophy and approach to balancing the game with our new seasonal model for Overwatch 2. Alright, balancing with seasonal releases. Overwatch 2 brings with it a new 9-week season Candace that will consistently introduce new maps, heroes, game modes, and more for players to experience. For heroes more specifically, our plan is to typically release a new hero every other season, which, combined with our ongoing additions of new maps and game modes and our regular balance updates, should reward different strategies and playstyles, keeping the game fresh and dynamic for years to come. That's cool. I mean, we want more content, and if they have a plan laid out and it is significantly better than what they had for Overwatch 1, then this is going to be huge. Alright, importantly, each season will also see impactful hero balance changes as the season begins to support our goals of constantly balancing the game and keeping the live service feeling dynamic. This means new seasons will feel more distinct and special, with balance changing significantly when we move to the next season. We are also prepared to make additional balance adjustments if the need within a season arises to manage hero balance and power and keep our game feeling fair and fun. That is huge right there. The fact that they are going to take the time to tell us and let us know that they are going to balance the game whenever they feel it necessary to keep it feeling fair and fun, that is awesome. That's something that we didn't have in the past. They were very slow with balance updates, and it caused a whole lot of issues. So hopefully in Overwatch 2, things are going to be a little different. Alright, so let's move on to the Season 1 preview. The second public beta brought with it an abundance of hero performance data. This, along with player feedback from the broader community and professional players, has been instrumental in defining the hero balance landscape at launch. Informed by this data and feedback, the hero design team has mapped out some balance updates that players from the beta will recognize as changed from the end of our second public beta test earlier this year. You'll have an opportunity to see most of these changes in action first during the next Overwatch League tournament cycle, the Countdown Cup starting on September 22nd. Until then, let's dive into a preview of what to expect on October 4th. Awesome, this is sick. I can't wait to see what they have for all the characters for the release. Starting with the Junker Queen. Commanding Shout. Allied health bonus reduced from 100 to 50 HP. That's good, because that was her most overpowered thing. Her being able to give so much health to everyone was ridiculous. Not just to herself, but it was like she was a mini healer. That's what it really felt like. And 50 HP I feel like is fair. It'll definitely buff the supports enough to make them last longer. It won't, like, 50 HP to a tank isn't that much, but there's only one tank, and we only have to worry about Junker Queen having an extra 50 HP, so I think that's a good thing. Allied duration reduced from 5 to 3 seconds, so they're going to have that 50 HP even less than 5 seconds, which is great. That's something that definitely needed to be done as well. And I think they kind of explained this in an earlier blog post that I went over in another video, but let's see if they changed anything else significantly than what they said before. It says temporary health no longer decays over its duration. Okay, so the health doesn't go down over those 3 seconds. You get 50 health from 3 seconds to 0 seconds, which is cool. Because it would be pretty underpowered if it started decaying at 3 seconds after it swapped from 5 to 3. That just wouldn't be a very good balance change at all. And the cooldown increased from 11 to 15 seconds. That's a big one right there. Like, if they're going to go ahead and change her commanding shout, that's one thing, but increasing the cooldown by 4 seconds, Junker Queen is not going to be as strong as she once was. So let's see what they have to say about that, though. It says, based on data and feedback received from beta testing and more recently from observing professional play, we believe the temporary health granted by Junker Queen's shout ability has proven too strong overall and enabled a dominating team composition at the very upper ranks of play, Reducing the health gain and duration while increasing the ability's cooldown are intended to reduce the overall power of its ability and make its use more deliberate and less forgiving. We'll continue to monitor Junker Queen's performance and win rate, as well as broader play. Sorry. Ooh. As well as broader player sentiment in the weeks following launch. I couldn't get through that sentence. Okay, so general. This is a change to all the characters. Temporary health now grants 50% reduced ultimate charge instead of 0 ultimate charge. Okay, so Junker Queen's going to get bonuses from giving 50 HP to everyone. Not just Junker Queen, but temporary health. So that's pretty crazy. That means that she's going to get ult charge from using Commanding Shout. That is... I mean, I don't know if they did things directly, but this seems indirectly being affected by the Commanding Shout, that's pretty crazy. That is a big buff to Junker Queen. Even if they're going to increase the cooldown from 11 to 15 seconds, that's a huge change. Temporary health not giving ultimate charge added a lot of hidden strengths to its effect. Reducing consequences for riskier decisions and playstyles. This is particularly effective in instances where you can grant temporary health to other players for the players dueling out the damage. Doing significant damage but gaining no ultimate charge can be particularly frustrating and unrewarding. With this change, our goal is to preserve some of the advantage granted by temporary health while adding a reward for players who while adding a reward for players who contribute to their teams through damage dealt. Contribute. Damage roll passive. New passive. Eliminations grant 25% increased reload and movement speed for 2.5 seconds. Does not stack with itself but will refresh the duration. Damage roll passive. New passive. Eliminations grant 25% increased reload and movement speed for 2.5 seconds. Does not stack with itself but will refresh the duration. All heroes now refund up to 30% ultimate power on hero swap. That's fantastic. I thought that it was weird that they only did that for damage. You know, when they tested out the 30% swap on heroes earlier this year, it felt like it should be for everyone because it's just fair that way. Like if you want to switch your character early on, but you've gotten 25% ult charge, it should swap even if you're on tank or support. That's just something that should be in the game. But this is crazy right now. Damage roll passive. Eliminations grant 25% increased reload and movement speed for 2.5 seconds. That's nuts. That is a huge change to the game, and that is a huge change to damage. Like, that's crazy. Let's go on, though. Of course, that means the DPS role once again finds itself without a roll passive. Wait, I'm confused here. Of course, that means the DPS role once again finds itself without a roll passive. So along with this change, we're introducing a new passive to DPS that increases their movement speed and reload speed by 25% for a brief window after getting an elimination. We believe that this change is the right balance of rewarding players who perform well in the damage role without being overpowered. However, in future seasons, we may continue to experiment with what these passives do as we look to shake up the meta regularly. Then we're going to move on to Orisa. Base health increased from 250 to 275, and base armor increased from 250 to 275. Energy Javelin cooldown reduced from 8 to 6 seconds. Okay, that is just straight up crazy buff to Orisa. She was a little underpowered, but I played her a lot, and I thought that she had a lot of value for what she was given at the time. But getting an extra 50 or an extra 25 health and an extra 25 armor, so 50 overall, that's pretty good. And the Energy Javelin is very useful, and now that I can use it every 6 seconds, now that we can all use it every 6 seconds, that's fantastic. That's really, really good. Alright, for a hero rework that has been lauded as fun to play, hard to kill, and particularly potent for an in-your-face tank playstyle, Orisa continues to be a challenging hero to balance. One of the lowest win rates in the game, giving a hero more health is a reliable solution, increasing the frequency of her Energy Javelin should keep her feeling active and more effective as she charges down the front line. I completely agree. That Energy Javelin, if you're able to land your shots and just push people back with it, you can just be a force to reckon with. Not only that, if you spin that javelin around and boot people back and throw it, and you can consistently do it in a corridor, or just stop the main team from pushing down the main entryway of the map on most maps, you don't even have to kill, you just have to keep everyone at bay. Let the people in your backline take care of stragglers that try and come in through different directions, but that just main entryway that is, in multiple different maps, have Orisa just stand there and just push everyone back and keep everyone at bay. And in one of my guide videos, that was actually what we did, and what I wanted to show to represent what you should be doing as a tank player, and it seemed to work really well. It was really fun to play Orisa, and I really like the changes that they've made to her since, her original release. All right, we got some changes to D.Va, though, so I know a lot of you are going to be excited about that. So, booster impact damage increased from 10 to 25. That's cool. So when you fly into people, they're going to take more damage. That seems to be warranted. Micro missile cooldown reduced from 8 to 7 seconds. Pretty fair, just 1 second. Callback ultimate cost reduced by 12%. Okay, so you can get back into your mech 12% quicker. That's cool. Yeah, I mean, I never felt like she couldn't get into her mech fast. It felt balanced, but for some reason they're going to give her 12%. I feel like that's an odd number to do, but they must have a reason for it. So let's see what they have to say. D.Va has been slightly underperforming in comparison to other tanks in 5v5. Increasing the damage on booster impact will add more weight to that rush-in moment for her, leaning into her strengths as a fast-moving engager who can push deep into enemy lines. Okay, cool. Well said. All right, Brigitte. Inspire duration reduced from 6 to 5 seconds. Even with the removal of stun from her shield bash, Brigitte continues to be very strong in 5v5, especially in team compositions that take full advantage of the passive healing provided by Inspire. This change doesn't affect Brigitte's raw healing per second, however it should make her overall effectiveness less generous in situations where she's able to reply Inspire. Okay, it's not too much of a change, and they're right. She has been a really good character in 5v5. I really enjoyed playing her in the beta, and I can't wait to play her again. She's one of my favorite characters, and I'm not too upset with this. It's just a 1 second less duration, and I feel like it is fair, because if you play the right composition, she's really powerful right now. Alright, moving on to Baptiste. Biotic Launcher Primary Fire damage increased from 24 to 25. Biotic Launcher Primary Fire minimum fall-off range increased from 20 to 25 meters. Okay, so 1 more damage, and the fall-off is been increased, which is good. That's an all-around good buff. They don't have any statements on this. They just are giving this to Baptiste. They feel like he needs to deal a little bit more damage, and yeah, that's a good Baptiste buff. Like, there's nothing crazy there. That's just pretty simple, but the damage fall-off is pretty significant, I will say. But let's move on to Mercy. Pressing crouch during Guardian Angel now launches you straight up. Angelic Descent can now be activated by holding crouch while airborne. Okay, wait a second. Pressing crouch during Guardian Angel now launches you straight up. Okay, so if you press crouch, you get to go straight up in the air, which is kind of what they started to change her ability into before, but it was too broken just because people would accidentally use it and you couldn't get a res off. So this seems like their solution to that. You press crouch if you want to go straight up, which is cool. Like, you can map that button, so it should be pretty fair. Angelic Descent can now be activated by holding crouch while airborne. Okay, so they just fixed that basically, which is good. Let's see what they have to say. Mercy's beta change allowing her to Guardian Angel cancel and boost where she is looking added a substantial amount of flexibility to her movement. However, boosting upwards was difficult for many players given that they needed to quickly look up before activating and then look down again to survey the battlefield. To address this, the crouch input will now launch her upwards regardless of her facing direction. In addition, crouch will also activate Angelic Descent while in the air. Similar to jump, this adds a much needed quality of life improvement when performing the vertical boost with crouch. So can you still boost yourself any other direction, or are they just adding this crouch button? I'm interested to see. They didn't really touch on this here. Alright, Bastion. Ironclad passive is enabled again, gaining oh my gosh, pardon me. Ironclad passive is enabled again. 20% damage reduction while transformed. Okay, so he gets 20% damage reduction while transformed again. It is pretty good. He moves slow when he's transformed, so I feel like he needs this. Since introducing the newly upgraded Bastion, we've tracked a general sentiment about his new kit being a bit too potent, particularly when in Sentry form. To address this previous concern, we removed the Ironclad passive with a goal of reining in that perceived power. Now that we've had more time and game data to evaluate, we believe that returning the Ironclad passive will not push him over the edge. Cool, I mean, as long as they test things out and it's not too crazy later on, I mean, they will always be able to change it, and it seems like they're really going to be on top of balance changes. This is really exciting to see this far from launch. I'm glad that they posted this so soon. So yeah, we'll see if Bastion's too overpowered with this again, but I don't think he's going to be. I feel like Bastion's going to be pretty much perfected at this point if they add this back in, which they are. So let's move on to Reaper and see what they have to say about him. Hellfire shotgun spread reduced from 8 to 7 degrees. Okay, so his shotgun spread is reduced. That's good, that's going to make him more efficient, but Reaper is already good. Like, he's just a good character still. Sojourn, railgun energy gain from non-player targets, barriers, turrets, etc. reduced by an additional 50%. Perfect. That is exactly what they needed, because she was getting too much energy charge, but they seem to think that it wasn't off of shooting characters. It was off of shooting barriers and turrets and other things like that. So she's going to receive a reduced additional 50% to her railgun energy charge, which is cool because she was overpowered when it came to that aspect. All right, the last character, Sombra. Hack ability lockout duration increased from 1 to 1.75 seconds. Okay, let's see what they have to say. The duration of Hack's ability lockout often goes unnoticed unless it's being used as an active interrupt. While we're not looking to go back to previous lockout numbers, we do want Sombra to have slightly more time to feel as though the ability is effective. This change stays in line with our goals for less crowd control abilities in Overwatch 2, and we'll continue to closely monitor performance, data, and player feedback to ensure that this remains the case. Like all of you, we're eagerly anticipating the launch of Overwatch 2 on October 4th, 2022. The team has been hard at work on finishing touches and tons of new content for the months ahead. We'll have much more to share about Overwatch 2 over the next several weeks leading up to launch. Alright, there you guys have it. This is the patch notes for the launch day of Overwatch 2, and the Sombra stuff does feel warranted because 1 second is just not enough time. 1.75 seconds is a good duration when you get hacked. Like, that's the way it should be. I always thought since they changed it that 1 second was too short and they needed to increase it because it just wasn't effective enough. But that's my take on Sombra, and my take on all of this stuff that I just read you guys is awesome. I was not unhappy with any of these changes or kind of shocked at what they were doing. This seems really fair, and I think that this is going to make launch day pretty awesome. I will say that the benefit of Overwatch already being around and us being able to play it before the release of Overwatch 2 and it be so similar is that we all have an idea of what this means for everything. Like, this isn't a brand new game. I mean, it is a brand new game, but you guys know what I mean. It's not a brand new game in the sense of we've never played it before. So this should give everyone a good idea of what the game is going to look like on launch. I'm interested to see if any other changes will come, but I feel like we've been getting a lot of news, and I mean, you know, we just got the Kiriko origin story, but we haven't gotten her cinematic, and they showed little bits and pieces in that developer blog of her cinematic that was leaked, and we'll see if that comes out before launch. I feel like it might. It could come out like the day before, but I'm interested to see what new information they're going to be giving us on top of this. We've gotten a ton of information last weekend and this week already. It's been crazy so far. There's been a lot to cover, and I'm excited to do it with you guys. But yeah, that's it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really does help out the channel, and this is, you know, this is something different than what I usually do, but I think we're going to do this going forward. It's a lot easier to cover these patch notes and these blogs and all this information, so I want to do that with you guys live. So forgive me for all the mistakes I'm making when I'm reading this stuff. It's just going to happen as I do it more often. I'll get used to it, and yeah, so thank you guys so much. I'll catch you on the next one. Flash out.